Hey guys, Stacy here from SABHeliDivision, and today we're going to talk about the all-new RAW 700 Stacy edition. Let's get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about the main differences between the RAW 700 and then the KSE version here. Quite obviously, the main difference is the rotor head and the tail rotor. We have a 3-bladed rotor head and a 3-bladed tail rotor on this model. The differences in flight are quite substantial. We'll get into that a little bit later, but right now let's just kind of cover the main differences. The kit is also shipping with a carbon fiber boom like you see here. This will work on your regular RAW if you want to put the carbon boom on. I think it gives kind of a cool look. It's got a matte finish to the boom, looks really nice. The canopy was also changed to kind of match the older Stacy edition kits. It has the yellow and the checkerboard scheme. It looks really nice. It comes with the lighter landing gear set right out of the box, as well as the white battery hatch down here. I think the white battery hatch is kind of a game changer as far as visibility goes. Makes it a lot easier to see the heli in the air. So that's kind of the main differences between this one and the regular RAW. So why don't we dive into what this flies like and how it compares to a 2-bladed model. So over the years, I've done a lot of flying with 3-bladed helicopters. I mean, we had the Goblin 700 competition, Stacy edition. We had the Goblin 570 Stacy edition, the 380 Stacy edition. All of them had a 3-bladed rotor head on them. I've been messing around with these things since the end of 2014 or so. That's when SAB first developed the rotor head, and we've just been having fun with it ever since. A lot of people ask me, well, what's the main difference in flight between a 2-bladed head and a 3-bladed head? And it's kind of a broad question. I think they feel totally different in the air. They do have some similarities, but the biggest thing that I noticed with the 3-bladed head is just the absolute added stability of the extra blade there. So when you do big loops, or you do a lot of fast flying or fast hurricanes or whatever, you just kind of put it where you want it, and you just feed the collective to change the speed or the height or whatever you want to do with it. So the stability is the biggest difference I've noticed between 2 blades and 3 blades. Not to say that 2-bladed heads are unstable or anything like that, but this thing, just wherever you put it, that's where it's going. The other difference with flying characteristics on a 3-blade head is that the agility of the model can be a lot faster. And I'm not talking about like flying speed, but the actual flip and roll rate of the model it accelerates into maneuvers faster. What I've noticed that is if I come across the field and I stop and I roll or I flip and then I start going the other way, it's a lot more predictable, it's a lot faster, and a lot more agile with a 3-bladed head compared to a 2-bladed rotor head. Just the off-center response is very nimble and quick and precise. So doing stuff like TikToks, either tail down or sideways or just any sort of smack, it feels a lot more nimble around center. Like I can do what I want low on the deck a little bit easier with a 3-blade head compared to 2-blade. It's not a huge difference overall, but for me, I'm always searching for the next level of performance and trying to find just a little bit more out of everything. So I feel that the 3-blade head does smack a little bit better than the 2-bladed head as well. Without a doubt, one of the most important parts, actually the most important part to a 3-bladed helicopter, is the blades themselves. Blade manufacturing is kind of tough because to get them as light as they need to be for a 3-bladed head, it's hard to get them consistently light every time. And that's what we've been working on at SAB, is getting the blades light and then consistently light every single time. So I'm really happy with what we have going into this kit. They're at a really good weight in my opinion. I think it's a good balance between being fast but also stable as well. That it autos just fine, the flip rate is really fast and consistent, and it's just a good balance between, like I said, stability as well as flip rate. One thing that I haven't really touched on yet is the tail rotor. This of course has a 3-bladed tail rotor on it. The main reason we went with a 3-bladed tail rotor is that there's a lot of extra drag with that extra main rotor blade, of course. But I also really enjoy the way a 3-bladed tail feels. The off-center response and the stopping power is a lot higher with a 3-bladed tail. So the quick little small inputs, they seem to be a lot more precise with a 3-bladed tail. Not to mention, the sound that it makes is really cool. I've explained it to people before that it kind of sounds like a Ferrari because it sounds like it's spinning a lot faster than it really is. So the 3-bladed tail really is a good complement to go with the 3-bladed rotor head as well. Another thing that I forgot to mention is how the model actually behaves in flight. We talked about how it flies and how it feels, but the other is how it performs and how it behaves. So one of the most apparent things when you start really beating on a 3-blade model is how effortless it feels. It feels like the model is never under any sort of stress. You can really load up the rotor head and start doing fast flips and combine some collective, and you don't hear a lot of blade flutter, you don't hear a lot of blade fart or anything like that. It just kind of feels and sounds effortless through whatever you throw at it. You can, you know, like throw in a bunch of cyclic and collective and stop it real hard and flip it and go the other way and do fast hurricanes, and it just kind of sounds like it's begging for more. But with a 2-blade, depending on the blades you have on it, when you start throwing in a lot of collective and cyclic and do maybe angle flips or some aggressive tick-tocks back and forth, you're gonna get a lot of like RPM drop and blade flutter and blade noise, and you just don't really see that as much with a 3-bladed helicopter. It just sounds like everything is effortless and it's pain-free while flying, so to speak. So overall, I just really dig the way this thing flies. To me, it's one of the most natural and comfortable feeling helicopters I've ever flown. It feels really planted and stable to me. It doesn't do anything funny, anything strange. If you get the flybarless set up correctly, which is also really important, there's no bobbles or shakes or anything like that. So this is probably gonna be my main machine going forward. You know, I always bounce back and forth between 2 blades and 3 blades, and it changes every month, but I'm really happy with how this one's flying right now. We did some work with the dampening, with the blade grip arms here, and it's flying really, really well. For those of you that have perhaps the Goblin 700 Kyle Stacy edition and you're wondering, like, what's the difference between the RAW and the one I already have? As far as flight performance goes, the tail is just, I would say, exponentially better now, because we have a smaller boom on it, of course, because it's the round raw boom shape design, and there's a lot less drag back on the tail rotor. So your tail performance is going to get even better. Like I said, we worked on the rotor head, so I think the head, it feels more natural, it's more consistent every single flight, and of course you just get all the raw mechanics. So this thing is just tough as nails. You got the really strong transmission and just a really, really stable, strong platform.